Forget about tethering your phone, forget about mobile hotspots. You need full-on, legitimate, unlimited, high-speed Wi-Fi. Let me tell you everything you need to know. If you're doing the van life, if you're living on the road, you're streaming, traveling, playing games, whatever it is, and you need legitimate Wi-Fi, let me tell you exactly how to make it happen. So I've spent about 19 or 20 months total doing this van life overlanding thing. Currently in an ex-presidential motorcade SUV that I turned into a little tiny home. Let me tell you about how I work full-time with this Wi-Fi. I've got all my stuff set up right back here. And we'll kind of go through everything we need. All these items we're talking about are available at my Amazon store at the link below this video. The most important thing for this whole solution here is you need AC power, the same thing you would plug into in your house. I've got 2 batteries back here. I'll tell you about each. Either of these batteries, you can charge it in multiple different ways. You can plug it into the wall, which is by far the fastest. You can use solar, or you can plug into your power source in your car. I call it a cigarette lighter because, you know, I'm a little bit older. The one that I brought with me, it is 614 watt hours, 700 watts. That was more than plenty to do all the Wi-Fi you needed for days on a single charge. Days and days and days. And we'll do a speed test here in a minute just to see how quick we're going. I think we're around 180 megabits per second, maybe 200. So that's enough to stream multiple 4K devices at the same time, do uploads, do gaming, do anything that you need. Again, there's no limits. And right now it's between $35 and $50 a month using the solution that I've got. Not only could I run my Wi-Fi for days at a time without a charge, I could even run a small space heater for about 3 hours before I depleted the fully charged battery. The upgraded battery, we can go about 6 or 7 hours now. It's 1152 watt hours and 1800 watts up to 2700 watts output. We'll talk just a little bit more about what those numbers mean in a second. I'm actually brewing up coffee from my old one right now, just to show you, you know, it's one of the things that I did using solar. Having this power source, it gives you a lot of options, especially when you start to understand how much use you can get out of it, the different things you can do with it, and being able to actually run a space heater through the coldest nights was really nice. Again, that was only 3 hours. And here's the challenge. So the old battery I had would charge at about 500 watts per hour plugged into the wall. It takes about an hour to charge it up. Using solar, with a 120 watt solar panel, it would take all day pretty much. It usually got about 60 watts. And if so, at 600 watt hours, 60 watts is 10 hours. And that's why my 200 watt space heater takes about 3 hours before it depletes the 600 watt hour battery. So those numbers have a direct correlation. Coffee's almost done. What I've got going on here, although pretty economic, you could still go a lot cheaper and keep your Wi-Fi going, no problem at all. Now, the first battery that I had along the way, it was under $200 on sale from Amazon, but again, you could go a lot cheaper than that and have Wi-Fi going all day for days. But if you want to do some coffee, you want to do a heater, want to do a few more things, the more power you have, the better. The more power, the more money you're gonna have to spend. I don't think the Stormrock battery is actually available anymore. It was around $279 on sale for I think about $179. And then the solar panel was another about $170. So you're looking at $340, $350 there for that setup. And the solar panel, it's a 120 watt panel, but I was only charging at about 60, 65 watts on the Central California coast. It never got over 80 degrees Fahrenheit out there. I have a feeling that if you were out in Arizona, you know, in Eastern California, you know, Palm Springs area out in the desert, my guess is with that extra heat and intense sun, you would be getting a lot more charge out of it. You can still check my Amazon store for the specs on that battery, and the solar panel is still available. One thing I learned with the solar panels is make sure you've got a nice long cord. Usually I kept the power source in the back of my little mobile office I had built in the back of the Suburban, and then I had the solar panel just outside facing the sun. And it does matter if the solar panel is facing the sun, the more direct it's hitting it, the more charge you're gonna get. A good sunny day would get you about the same charge whether you're plugged into your car outlet, or AKA cigarette lighter outlet, or if you were going from solar with that 120 watt panel. Now, my new battery source here, it's $1,000 list price, which I got on sale on Black Friday for under $500, and it'll take up to a 500 watt solar panel. I don't have that solar panel yet, so I can't really give you a review on that. They are pricier. I still expect, you know, to probably get about half of what the panel is rated at in similar lighting. The Stormrock battery didn't have as many great features, but it gave me everything that I needed. The Blue Eddy, that has a lot more power, also has more features, including wireless charging. I can actually just set my phone on top of it and it'll charge. It is a little bit hard to actually get it to start charging though. You have to kind of fiddle with it to make it work just right. There's an app for the Blue Eddy. There wasn't for the Stormrock, so I can actually see what charging is going on. And the Blue Eddy charges at about 1,000 watts versus the Stormrock at 500. So twice as much capacity, but it charges twice as fast. So if I plug the Blue Eddy into the wall, I can still get double the power at the same charging speed. There's even a turbocharging mode. I haven't tried it out yet. I'll give that a try and follow up with you on that sometime real soon. So it's about time to talk Wi-Fi here. Let me show you the little heater I had, and then we'll bring out the Wi-Fi. We'll run a test on speedtest.net and see what the numbers are. So I don't have this guy plugged in. This was a 200 watt heater, which was more than enough for my small space. My coldest nights were just right around freezing in December, January out on the Central California coast. It rarely got under freezing. And usually what I would do is I would run the heater and get it nice and hot in there, go to sleep, nice and bundled up, wearing clothing, thick sleeping bag. And then if I woke up cold in the middle of the night, I would plug in my little heater here. And the concern was with it taking all day, either plugged into the cigarette lighter or solar, I might not have enough power for the next night. Not necessarily, especially, if you are plugging it into your cigarette lighter and then you get out of the vehicle, you can't just leave it charging all day because you might kill your vehicle battery. So I did have some AC power sources that I could go to and get a quick charge if I needed to. But, there were some interesting things, like at one of the parks I would go to charge up. There was a good amount of unhoused people there, other vehicle livers, but I was doing it for fun by choice to go on an adventure. They were there out of necessity. Everybody was fighting for the same plug to charge up their phones. So I couldn't always get AC power and get a full charge when I needed. Let's talk about the Wi-Fi now. I know that's what you guys are really here for. So I've got this plugged in, although the USB comes out pretty easy, so hopefully I won't unplug it here. So this is just a T-Mobile home Wi-Fi setup. This is what I used to have in my apartment. I used it for all my uploads, all my downloads, streaming in 4K. If you're into gaming, if you have multiple televisions, this has enough bandwidth to run a whole household. I just saw a special that T-Mobile is running on this for 35 bucks a month. I don't work for T-Mobile. I'm not getting endorsed. This is just what I use. Again, this is true unlimited bandwidth. This isn't something that after you use so much, they're gonna dial you back or charge you more or anything else. This is what they offer as a solution for a home. And this has been just absolutely amazing for me. I got 4 out of 5 bars right now. Again, we're back in a residential area. I was getting 4 to 5 bars up on the mountaintop in the National Forest where I was camping out above San Luis Obispo. I would get 2 to 3 bars when I was camping out on the beach in Oceano near Pismo Beach. Some of the worst reception that I got was in Santa Barbara, which was crazy. That was a bigger city than either of those places. The cool thing that I figured out with this, let's say that I only had maybe 2 bars here. It's obviously running on some sort of T-Mobile network. If I had 2 bars on this and 2 bars on my phone, maybe my phone wasn't operating very well. I wouldn't have the speeds I needed. But if I had this on, I still always had more than enough speed. I always had everything I needed on my computer. I never had any lag, any trouble downloading, streaming. Let's just do a quick test right now. We're gonna run a test on speedtest.net. I've got 1 bar less reception here than I had a lot of times on the mountaintop above San Luis Obispo in the National Forest. If you're gonna be deep in the wilderness, way away from civilization, Starlink is probably gonna be your best bet. 2 reasons Starlink wasn't the first choice solution for me for this last expedition were: 1, it costs more, and 2, you need a line of sight. You can't be parked in the shade, obviously. It's satellite, so it needs to have a straight line of sight to the sky, whereas this solution does not. You can be anywhere under trees or anywhere like that. In the long run, as I continue to do these expeditions and really advance how I do it, I plan on having both Starlink and my T-Mobile Wi-Fi here. So let's run a little speed test here and go. So we got basically 150 megabits per second download and 20 upload. So the quick internet answer was that you need over 100 megabits per second to be streaming 4K on multiple televisions or devices in a household. So obviously 150 megabits per second while you're on the road with, I don't know, a computer and a TV, probably at the most. That's more than enough. But even if you have a motorhome full of kids all streaming 4K on multiple devices, you're gonna be covered with this solution, and it's gonna cost you less than $50 a month. So the main thing is having power and making sure you can get your power source full and charged well enough to run your Wi-Fi throughout the night. And then if you do have the AC power and you want extra things like heat, coffee, other cool things, you can do that too. You know, this life can truly be amazing. If you're willing to do things like this, figure out how to take Wi-Fi on the road, find a vehicle that you can actually travel and live out of, go out and pursue dreams and change your direction. I hope that you take advantage of that. Life is short. You have so many things that you could offer to the world, but if you get comfortable and complacent, all it takes is a couple blinks, 10 years of your life has passed, a few more blinks, 20 years has passed, and you look at all the things you wish you had done. I would love it if you share this journey with me. Come along, see the amazing things I've done and I'm going to do with this life, and I want to see the things that you do with yours.